Welcome to Fantastic Vision. Please subscribe us before you watch today's video. Not long ago, China's General Administration of Customs and the Ministry of Commerce jointly issued a document announcing that starting from August 1st, the export control of germanium and gallium-related materials will be implemented. According to the data for 2022, China accounts for more than 85% of the production capacity in the supply chain of two rare metals, germanium and gallium. Therefore, after China announced export controls, Western countries feel very uncomfortable. Not only that, but according to the latest news, Hasheng Silicon, a giant in China's industrial silicon field, also recently announced that the company will reduce its production capacity of industrial silicon due to the continuous reduction in the price of silicon products and the decrease in profits. After the news came out, many European and American countries felt stuck, because China's strength in silicon products was also close to the monopoly level. China will reduce the production of industrial silicon. Hoshine Silicon, a leading company in China's silicon products, also announced recently that it will reduce the production capacity of industrial silicon. This is undoubtedly another heavy blow to European and American countries. We must know that in 2022, the global industrial silicon production capacity will be 7.78 million tons, and China's industrial silicon production capacity will be 6.3 million tons, accounting for 81% of the global silicon production. Hoshine Silicon's industrial silicon production capacity accounts for about 30% of China's silicon production capacity, which means that Hoshine Silicon's industrial silicon production capacity accounts for about 24% of the global silicon production capacity, and can ship about 1.89 million tons of industrial silicon per year, playing a very important role in the world's silicon industry chain. Although Hoshine Silicon's production reduction is not a reduction in the entire Chinese silicon industry, as a leading enterprise in China's silicon industry, Hoshine Silicon's production reduction will definitely affect the entire silicon industry chain, and it is likely to lead to the reduction of other domestic industrial silicon manufacturers, which will most likely lead to an increase in the price of industrial silicon in the world. In fact, Hoshine Silicon's production reduction is caused by European and American countries. Through the establishment of business alliances, European and American countries control the bargaining power and keep the price of industrial silicon very low. This also led to the fact that even Hasheng Silicon Industry, a leading enterprise in the domestic silicon industry, is not very optimistic in terms of profit margins. Industrial silicon production has a high demand and dependence on electricity. During the current peak summer electricity consumption period, with the rise in electricity prices, the production cost of industrial silicon has also increased significantly. However, European and American countries are unwilling to raise the price of industrial silicon. This will naturally lead to related Chinese companies reducing production. Similar to germanium and gallium, silicon is one of the most important materials in the semiconductor industry. This means that the reduction of silicon production by Chinese companies will further have a serious impact on the semiconductor industry. It is no wonder that European and American countries have reacted so fiercely. The most uncomfortable thing for European and American countries is that after China restricts the export of germanium and gallium and reduces the production capacity of industrial silicon, it is difficult for European and American countries to meet their domestic needs through independent production. Whether it is germanium, gallium or silicon, a complete set of modern industrial system is required. This industrial system is currently only owned by China and the United States, and China is currently the largest world factory in the world. It can be said that many key equipment are produced in China. It is very difficult for European and American countries to build related industrial chains. Not only that, the industrial links of germanium, gallium, and silicon are very long, and gallium is a byproduct of alumina. Western countries must establish a complete industrial chain if they want to produce germanium, gallium, and other products by themselves. For Western countries, it takes a long time to develop relevant technologies, and it takes even longer to build a complete industrial chain. By the time Western countries can produce enough germanium, gallium, and silicon, there will be almost no domestic companies that demand these metals. Strong reactions from Western countries. China's restrictions on the export of germanium and gallium can be said to directly hurt Western countries, especially Japan, South Korea, the Netherlands, and other countries that participate in the US chip rules and restrict the export of chips, semiconductors, and other equipment with the United States. According to Yonhap News Agency, Samsung issued a statement immediately and will hold an emergency meeting to discuss how to deal with China's export control. Intentionally or unintentionally, South Korea's statement implied that the current situation was caused by China's violation of commercial spirit, and South Korea may take similar measures in response. Japan, on the other hand, stated that it does not believe that Japan is China's target. On the other hand, it stated that China's control measures have brought harm to Japan, and Japan will strengthen cooperation with more credible partners. According to the news report of the U.S. media CNN, the spokesperson of the U.S. Department of Commerce expressed firm opposition to China's behavior of restricting the export of germanium and gallium, and also stated that China's approach further highlights the need for supply chain diversification. It is not difficult to see from the statements of the United States, Japan, and South Korea that they all explicitly and secretly accused China of restricting the export of germanium and gallium, and defined China's restrictions on the export of germanium and gallium as violating the spirit of business. You should know that germanium and gallium are both strategic reserve materials. China's export restrictions on these rare metals are actually in line with international standards, because countries have always had the habit of controlling the export of strategic reserve materials. It can be said that this has become an international practice. Not only that, China's restriction on the export of germanium and gallium is only a restriction, not a complete ban. China mainly restricts the low-end products of germanium and gallium. This move is more aimed at promoting the development of the domestic industrial chain and promoting related Chinese companies to further process low-end germanium and gallium products before shipping them.